Hey guys, Desolator Magic here. Welcome to the Desolator Magic channel, where we're kind of like other magic channels, except angrier and louder. Speaking of that, I got up early today by sheer coincidence, and on the way back got some breakfast tacos, just trying to sit here at my desk eating some damn tacos, and out of nowhere, Wizards just drops a ban list on me. They didn't even wait till noon. They're like 8 a.m. Monday, drop it. Let's just burn through the whole list first because this is amazing. They banned basically everything, which is, good, but don't get me wrong, they didn't fix a damn thing. In every format that I know about, which is 3 of these, they fixed absolutely not one damn thing. In fact, technically in Standard, they made it worse by not touching Red Rush. First of all, in Standard, Wilderness Reclamation is finally banned. They finally realized that they shouldn't give people that much mana. That took, a year and a half? Then we've got Growth Spiral banned from Standard. I told you guys that was the problem. A bunch of people when I said, they're like, Growth Spiral, there's nothing wrong with Growth Spiral. That's not the problem card. Actually, it is. Now shut up and stop trying to assess cards. You're bad at it. Then we've got, finally, Teferi Time Raveler from War of the f***ing Spark. So that was, just a couple months too many with that asshole. Old Teferi was worse, controversial opinion, and finally Cauldron Familiar is banned. Hey Wizards, you banned the wrong card of the combo, you absolute morons. Now people can still play Rakdos Sacrifice with unlimited sack outlets that they also benefit from, and play active treason effects on top of it and sack the creature at the end of during the second main phase really. It should have been the Cauldron that was banned. It absolutely 1,000,000% should have been. That was the problem card. So with Reclamation, Growth Spiral, Teferi, and Cauldron gone, we're going to see Red Rush, Red Rush, Red Rush, Red Rush, Red Rush, and maybe Rakdos Sacrifice. Great. They fixed it, guys. It's all fixed. Everything's good now. Oh, don't forget about Mono White Rush. Honestly, I probably would have banned the Flying Lifelink Bird. People would think, but what's wrong with a Flying 1/1 Lifelinker for 1? Nothing, that's the thing. It would take the deck down like 3%, which is where it needs to be. I would ban Heliod if they were just going to go after actual problem cards. But, they nuked the deck into unplayability without Heliod, so... Yeah, I would have thrown Healer's Hawk in there. And, this is coming from somebody who plays that deck. If you're going to have a 1/1 Lifelinker for 1 that early and that fast of a deck with that many triggers and a Johnny's Pride Bait still legal, which, honestly, arguably could have been the problem card in addition to Heliod, your Lifelinker damn well better be on the ground so that they at least have a chance of getting rid of it without having to burn a removal spell that costs like 3 or 4 on a 1-drop. So next up, Pioneer, we've got Inverter of Truth, finally banned. Holy shit, it's a miracle. Another controversial hot take, they should have just banned Jace and Thassa's Oracle. Why would you want cards that encourage your opponent to run their entire deck out of cards? What would possibly be considered fun about a game where that happens? It's not possible. Why would you encourage purposely degenerate play? Why, Wizards? Tell me. Answer me that. Explain Nexus of Fate 2. How was that ever supposed to be okay? What was ever supposed to be okay with a card that doesn't exile itself? Absolute incompetent f***ing idiots in their R&D department. So next up we got Kethis the Hidden Hand, which, I honestly don't know that much about Pioneer, and I don't know much about that card. I just know Inverter of Truth was a problem because it would just nuke your entire library, you play Thassa's Oracle, you win. What a degenerate garbage combo. There must have been some infinite loop, because looking at Kethis, when I first read him, I'm like, well, that's going to cause an infinite loop, so I'll just defer to their notes on this. Then Walking Ballista is banned, because of course it is. That is one of the worst cards printed in the last 10 years. It is so inherently broken, but the funny thing is I already know why they banned it, and it's not because it's just a terrible, obnoxious, overpowered pile of shit. It's because of an infinite combo, obviously. People warned them about it ahead of time, and they refused to act on it. Well, let's wait and see how much damage it does. Yeah, it did a bunch of damage. People are pissed and nobody played Pioneer for 6 months. Okay, now we'll deal with it. Not during R&D, not before release, not when the community is screaming at them to ban it ahead of time. No, after the format was unplayable for multiple months and it ruined multiple events, then we're going to act on it. That's Wizards. What a great strategy. It's working out great for them. They're totally not losing customers left and right. And then finally, Underworld Breach is banned. Ooh, I'm shocked. I'm actually shocked. I thought that was already banned, to be perfectly honest. It must have been banned in another format. Let me look it up. Yeah, it was banned in Legacy. That must have been recent. So still looking at Underworld Breach, I don't think it's that powerful of a card. Now that said, wait until you hear why they banned it. In Historic, they have banned Wilderness Reclamation because, duh, Historic is just standard but worse, and they're trying to turn it into Modern with their Historic Anthology horse shit, and all they did was ruin it with shrines and a bunch of broken crap like, more life gain. And secondly, in Historic, we have Teferi Time Raveler. Oh boy, 2-for-1 special. He is also banned in Historic. I'm shocked. By the way, in Historic especially, old Teferi was worse, okay? Yeah, this one's earlier. I don't care. Old Teferi is worse. I would have strongly preferred they ban both, but if they had to pick one Teferi, I would say the old one. That untapping of the lands is completely unacceptable. That always was the problem. Yeah, Teferi Time Raveler is annoying because he bounces shit and then does nothing, and then bounces shit. And honestly, the problem with Teferi Time Raveler is flickering him with like repetitive flicker effects. If they could reload him every time, he's untouchable, and that's all I'm seeing him in is what is that stupid flying flappy companion piece of shit. So from Brawl, believe it or not, Teferi Time Raveler is banned. Oh, I'm shocked. I'm actually shocked that they didn't just ban him as the commander, but yeah, I'm sick of playing against that. I see Teferi Time Raveler, and guess what? Brawl's not ranked. Bye, Felicia. I'm out. Nothing holding me into this game. No penalty for forfeiting. If you play Teferi Time Raveler, you don't get to play Magic. Sincerely, me, motherfucker. And I know that's kind of controversial because some people say, well, no, you're giving them a free win. They're just there for the wins. Obviously, if they're playing Teferi Time Raveler as a deck, they're an asshole who only cares about wins. Same with Kinnan. Same with some Bolus decks. I mean, there really are only, well, now 6 commanders that people play, and anybody playing anything else is going to be a fun, fair, interesting game whether you win or lose. So in my opinion, they should have gotten rid of all 6 of the top ones. They're all bullshit. Nissa and Liliana gotta go. Okay, they have to go. Both in the commander slot and from Brawl, period. I mean, Liliana's just too damn defensive. She's too good. And the flickering of the planeswalkers, I would get rid of most of the flicker effects too. It's just too much. You can't touch them, you can't fight them, and they just sit there and go negative, then regenerate all their loyalty counters. So yeah, they basically did nothing to fix Brawl except get rid of one tiny nuisance. Historic, they got rid of Reclamation. Okay, I could name 10 other decks that they should do something about, like Goblins, Elf Ball, really those 2. Shrines, obviously. Gates, obviously. Shrine Gate Hybrid, which is what I've been kicking people in the nuts with. Just any Super Friends at all. I mean, Super Friends is never going to get better until they ban like 10 Planeswalkers, because remember, nothing cycles out of Historic. So Historic is a dead format right now. Completely unplayable, and it will be until they take this ban list seriously. I would say that any Historic Super Friends deck of any color combination is an unbeatable deck, except that it loses to Goblin Rush, Red Rush, just Red Winds Burn, whatever, and White Rush with White Life Gain triggers, and also Elf Ramp Rush, because they're too fast for a Planeswalker deck, obviously. So I'm sure Wizards sees both of those and they're like, look how balanced and diverse it is. It's Rush versus Hyper Control and beatable bullshit. Neither one of those should exist. Get rid of both of them so that people can actually play mid-range. Everybody agrees there is no mid-range in Historic. It doesn't exist, and it doesn't exist in Standard either, and every time they release an anthology, they make it worse. So I'm basically giving up on Historic, but it's like, well, it's that or Standard or Brawl. What the hell am I going to play? And I was sick to my ass of Brawl. And I have like 6 Brawl decks that are all really good on Arena. I'm just sick of playing all of them, and I'm sick of playing against the same, Nicol Bolas, Kinnan horse shit, and fucking Nissa and stupid fucking Liliana. So have they made any of these formats barely playable? I couldn't tell you about Pioneer. I have no idea. Don't play it. The other 3, no, absolutely not. They didn't fix shit. They got rid of one problem deck so that we can see the other problem decks that they failed to do anything about more often. So they took all the broken decks and lowered the diversity of them. They actually made things worse. Wizards is too cowardly to like actually fix the shit after they've broken it. So they just want to be seen as maybe kind of doing something. Oh, look, we did something. We fixed it. And then the next day, everybody's like, they didn't fix a damn thing. Like, go jump on Arena. They didn't fix anything. It's clear as day. And I don't agree with, oh, look, we broke it. Let's fix it with a ban. We're all good after they ban like 30 cards from Standard or whatever it would take to make Standard actually acceptable. That's right. I don't think they should ban 30 cards. I mean, if they want to fix it tomorrow, that's the way to do it. I mean, that's a fact. But the actual fix is stop carelessly printing broken, overpowered shit and not fun cards, and control heavy and bad gameplay enabling cards. Stop printing mill. Stop printing too many planeswalkers. Stop printing overpowered draw cards in blue. Stop printing too much ramp in green. Stop giving white and green counter spells. Just stop printing Teferi, period. Just stop with that. Stop having 8 sets legal at a time. Go back to rotation twice a year. I mean, there are fundamental things they could do that would prevent this in the first place. That everybody knows you don't break something, piss people off for 3 months, then piss off the other half by banning it later in large quantities. That is not a good way to run your business. Don't print the broken shit in the first place. And remember, they publicly announced this. I'll never let anybody forget it, them included, that they purposely, starting with Ixalan, upped the power level of Standard so that they could sell more cards cards to Commander and Modern players. They said it virtually word for word. I am paraphrasing. What they actually said was actually worse. They said it's not fair to release a product that isn't for everybody. So for fairness, not for money or greed or anything, or because Standard's already a shit show. No, for fairness, we're going to print Modern Grade Commander cards and then proceed to immediately ban them from all of those formats all the way down to Legacy, actually. And then print Modern Horizons with shit like Hogak in there and then also ban that. Yeah, we're not just going to break it. We're not just going to light the dumpster fire. We're going to pour gasoline on it. So let's get into their explanations for this bullshit after hopefully you guys understand why they did not fix the damn thing. And trust me, jump on Arena for a couple days and play a bunch of games. You will find that I am 100% correct. They didn't fix shit. They actually made it worse. It's ban 30 cards or don't, or just f*** off for 2 months until rotation. That's their only viable options right now. So, starting with Standard. In the last ban restricted list update, we chose not to make any changes to Standard. Yeah, we know. F*** you. F*** you for that, you f***ing idiots. That was obviously a disaster, considering what you're banning now. So at that time, the environment had seen the top results of Player Tours 3 and 4. The companion rules change was recent, and the core set 2021 had just entered the format. Nobody cares, everybody was still playing Reclamation. What about any of those sentences explains any of this shit? Plus, they told us to our faces, Teamer Reclamation is being replaced by other stuff. We're seeing it in lower and lower percentages. Well, that turned out to be bullshit. Everybody knew it was bullshit. You knew it was bullshit when you said it, and now you're banning the card. So, I guess the community was right, and you were a bunch of clueless, lying assholes again. Shocker. Seriously, I am so done with this stupid f***ing company. How can human beings be this f***ing stupid? Then again, I do believe they're basically in Seattle, and aren't they about to, like, hand over the whole police department to, like, some chimps they found at the zoo or whatever the f*** the mayor is doing right now? You know, maybe it is, like, something in the water making them all stupid. Maybe there's, like, a lead contamination that they're lying about or something. I don't know. There's obviously something wrong mentally with Mark Rosewater. So while we saw new decks emerging, bullshit you did! Ultimately, the top decks were able to adapt and retain their metagame share. Really? Nobody saw that coming. At your stupid f***ing company. Everybody in the community saw it coming, because we've had to play against this shit, and we know when a deck's unbeatable. Anyway, after watching the environment progress for several weeks and reviewing the deck list entries for the Player Tour finals, we've decided to make some changes to shake up the metagame. Yeah, if you didn't watch that, which, I mean, I didn't, but I saw a screenshot of it, it was all Red Rush, White Life Gain, and Team of Reclamation. That was like the whole thing. Or maybe that was a different event, but I don't know. All the events are the same, who cares? So this set of changes is a deviation from our usual ban list philosophy for Standard, which is don't fix anything, break it all, lie about it, and ignore it till rotation. I mean, they didn't say that, but read between the lines. And as such, we consider it an experiment. Last time Mark Rosewater did an experiment, people told him to go f*** off and quit. Before you do experiments, maybe you should, like, know what the f*** you're doing. So outside of the very top levels of competitive play, including through most of the MTG Arena traditional standard ladder, we're seeing a good distribution of deck diversity and win rates. No, you're not. Shut the f*** up. I mean, do they think they can actually lie to us when we're sitting here playing high-level competitive ranked arena and seeing something different than what they're telling us right now with that sentence? I guess they're only talking to the people who gave up, uninstalled it, and haven't touched arena in months. They're trying to lie to them because they don't know any better. So, however, at the skill level of most competitive tournaments and the mythic ranking on the arena ladder, we do see a small number of decks with high win rates and play rates that have remained in that metagame position for quite some time. Yeah, things changed a little when I went from Platinum to Diamond. Yes, all of the degenerate broken decks leveled out of Platinum and Gold. Oh my god, is that how it works when they have a high win rate? Is that what happens? Is that how math works at a basic level? Let me ask my 7-year-old niece. She might know. She's pretty good at math. Yep, she told me that if a deck keeps winning, it'll make it to the highest league. Maybe Wizards should hire her. Oh wait, she's white. Okay, never mind. So under our usual approach, we would have allowed standard rotation to provide a natural and predictable shift in the metagame with the release of Zendikar Rising. Why? Why should we have to suffer through 2 months of this bullshit? Give me one good f***ing reason that we should have to do that. But in the era of social distancing, the proportion of standard play occurring on digital platforms has increased substantially. As if people don't net deck in paper. What planet are they from? Because back on Earth, there's a bunch of degenerate douchebags at every FNM. I mean, they have a point that, yeah, FNM isn't going on right now, but still, like, they're pretending that when it did, when paper was out, nobody would play Wilderness Reclamation or drops, $500 to $800 on a standard deck to go to F&M and win 3 packs. Wrong. That hasn't been my experience. I'd say somewhere around 1 in 3 to 1 in 2. So like 33 to 50% of players are net decking assholes who bring tier 1 shit to F&M no matter what it costs because they just have to win at all costs because they're such like shallow, lacking in self-confidence, pathetic, just waste of space who don't care about other people's enjoyment of anything. They just have to win. So no, if people were still playing paper, paper costs more than arena. So that would actually be more of a reason to ban broken decks quicker. I don't think they've had one accurate sentence in this entire article. So anyway, they say, blah, 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 people are playing digital, so we need to enact metagame changes at a faster rate. Bullshit. So therefore, we're making bans targeted at weakening decks that have been strong and popular at the highest levels of competitive play, and some cards and combos that have overstayed their welcome. Really, maybe you shouldn't have printed them in the first place. I don't hear that anywhere in this article. How suspicious. So, yeah, they've overstayed their welcome in the eyes of much of the standard community. Oh, you listen to the community now. That's a first. I actually think they're lying. They clearly, evidently do not listen to the majority of the standard community. Otherwise, we'd have about 50 cards banned. If they listened to the community during spoiler season, they would ban a couple cards before they come out because that's when we start demanding that they ban them. Not a year and a half later, Wizards. 2 weeks before they come out. That's when we know that a card is broken. So ramp decks using Growth Spiral together made up 68%. 68% of the day 1 metagame at the Players Tour Finals and represented approximately 25 to 30% of the metagame at Mythic ranking on the arena ladder. What the f***? Within that category, Wilderness Reclamation decks have been considered the strongest archetype by much of the competitive community. No, by facts, by numbers, by reality. That is not an opinion. They're phrasing it like it's an opinion. So they were making up 54% of the metagame at the Player Tour Finals and about 15% of the Mythic metagame on Arena. Should have been higher, that's weird. In order to remove Reclamation decks from this most played spot and to reduce the metagame share of ramp decks in general, Wilderness Reclamation and Growth Spiral are banned. So what are you going to do about the prevalence now of Red Rush and Torbrand and Fiery Emancipation decks? Nothing? Okay, so you actually just made it worse. When there's like 5 to 10 broken options and you remove 2 of them, there's now only 8 broken options that I'm going to be forced to play against over and over and over on Arena. So congratulations, you made it worse. Now they did get rid of the absolute worst deck in Standard, like the most ridiculously overpowered deck, but it's just the other ones are crossing a line too, suppressing all deck building creativity and completely eliminating the possibility of there being a mid-range at all in Standard. So another archetype that has maintained a high win rate over a long period of time is Black-Red, parentheses, or Jund, parentheses. No, that would be Rakdos, you dumbasses. Anyway, yeah, they're saying Black-Red Sacrifice. It's called Rakdos Sacrifice. I think what they meant to say is it's either Rakdos or Jund, but they use parentheses as like a definition statement. So yeah, that's not how you write English. Anyway, featuring the Cauldron Familiar and Witch's Oven combo. Yeah, I should have gotten rid of Oven, which I believe I accidentally called Cauldron, whatever, same thing. Like literally, there's a Cauldron that does the same thing that they just included anyway. In addition to having high overall win rates, these decks put considerable pressure on aggressive and mid-range creature decks. You think? Further, the number of triggers generated by these decks can be cumbersome for both players in digital play. Shut your It's only cumbersome when it's some net decking douchebag that copied the fucking deck off the internet. They don't know how the fuck to play it, and they're sitting there on their phone while Facebook's open another tab while they got fucking Netflix and YouTube going at the same time while they're listening to music with their fucking AirPods. Oh, and cooking a 7-course meal on and off, don't forget that, and also watching 3 kids by themselves. That's your average cat oven combo player right there. They are the slowest players on the planet with the highest number of triggers because they're just such inconsiderate dicks and they're so used to people just seeing it and saying, F it, fine, I'm forfeiting. Maybe I'll top deck a threat to this, but they're taking 10 seconds to click OK every trigger every fucking turn. When you just download some auto-win deck off the internet and you don't even care enough about the game to like build a deck, not that you could build a viable deck right now, but still... And you're just like, oh, I'll just get my coins and wins, whatever. I don't care. I'm so disinterested in this stupid shit game. Oh, I'm playing the same stupid, net decked bullshit tier 1 auto-win lazy brainless deck for the 100th time this week. I'm so checked out I got to do something else while playing. That is why these people play so slow, in case you haven't figured it out. So no, the number of triggers aren't, quote, cumbersome. The players playing it are just assholes. And to say it's cumbersome for both players, no, it's downright annoying. It is infuriating to play against, not cumbersome. I don't even find it cumbersome to sit there and spam your go, your go, your go, your go when it's taking them 5 to 10 seconds to click on every single approval button for every single trigger for every single time they resurrect their stupid fucking cat. Just like I'm sick of these stupid, like, brainless idiots running Wilderness Reclamation where they're trying to, like, count all their lands and their mana, pool it, then trigger, then resolve, then hold priority, then count all their teeth to make sure they're still there, then get up, count some shit in the fucking refrigerator, come back, and then, 30, I guess. And then they cast Explosion or whatever as I time them out for 3 minutes, and they're like, your go, your go. What's taking so long? F*** you, that's what's taking so long, you f***ing asshole. But the boneheaded statements keep coming because they say to weaken these sacrifice strategies, and then ... the end is we're banning Cauldron Familiar. If you want to weaken the sacrifice strategies, get rid of the card that sacrifices things. The Witch's Oven. You banned the wrong card, you morons. And yeah, those decks get a little bit weaker without the cat, but who cares? I mean, have you seen Rakdos Sacrifice? It's all about death triggers. It's all about stealing your opponent's shit, hitting them with it, and then sacrificing it. The problem was Witch's Oven, and Cauldron Familiar is unplayable without the oven. So people are still going to play Rakdos Sacrifice, which they even just stated is still the goal. They still want people to play it. They just want to weaken it a little tiny bit. While everybody in the community is... What was the stupid phrase they used? We deemed it to have overstayed its welcome. Yeah, Rakdos was in the Ravnica sets. Oh, and most of the cards in the deck are actual Rakdos cards. When I say Rakdos, you probably just think, oh, cards that are black-red. No, I mean actual Rakdos cards from the Rakdos set that had Rakdos in it. That's why people should stop misusing those descriptors for decks that have nothing to do with Rakdos. Finally, we'll be removing Teferi Time Raveler from the environment. We've often heard the feedback that the repetitive play patterns and reduced capability for interaction, yeah, he's unhittable. Anyway, we've often heard the feedback that repetitive play patterns and reduced capability for interaction that Teferi Time Raveler can create feel oppressive and limiting. Really? So that's like the most polite PR-friendly way to say that control decks have completely taken over. This guy is impossible to deal with. And playing board wipes at instant speed is completely and utterly unacceptable. While we've already considered banning Teferi Time Raveler in past updates, we're a bunch of snowflake-ass pathetic bitches. Oh, sorry, I misread that last part. They put, one reason we did not was evidence that it was helping hold Wilderness Reclamation decks in check. There you have it, everybody. That's their strategy. Well, there's one broken deck, but there's another broken deck. People hate both of them and want them both gone, but they balance each other. And that was the same bullshit they tried to pass when Hour of Devastation was out. Well, Black Blue Scarab God and Red Rush are actually really good balances for each other. F*** you, we want them both gone. With Wilderness Reclamation leaving the environment, we feel it's also time for the standard metagame to move without Teferi Time Raveler. Really, and you didn't feel that about Torbrand. You're about to feel that about Torbrand. You're about to revise this a week later, you f***ing morons. We note that Growth Spiral, Wilderness Reclamation, and Teferi Time Raveler were already slated to rotate this fall with the release of Zendikar Rising. With that in mind, we view this set of changes as an early rotation for those cards. Bullshit! Stop trying to spray fucking potpourri on a pile of shit! Nobody wanted these cards when they first came out. In fact, nobody wanted these cards to be legal during pre-release spoilers. Then we had to play with them set after set after set. Then they got outrageous when the card pool hit 7 and 8 sets. And now you're just finally dealing with them after the community's been screaming at you for over a year to get rid of this shit. Now you're calling it an early retirement. It's an early rotation for these cards. No, it's a ban. It's an overdue ban, and you need to tighten your shit up and get rid of these fucking cards a lot earlier. Man, this is just one pile of bullshit from Wizards that nobody's buying, nobody's believing. We're the ones out here playing it, we're the ones experiencing it, and we're the ones telling you what to do, and you're not listening. You can't just tell us, it's an early rotation. We're just trying to freshen up the meta, not get rid of horribly broken, overpowered shit. Guys, the cards just overstayed their welcome. Shut the f*** up, Wizards. Nobody is buying your bullshit. So in the case of Cauldron Familiar, we're taking the opportunity not only to improve the metagame short-term, but to also remove a balanced risk and undesirable play pattern leading into next year. Wait, were those going to survive rotation? I don't know. I'm hovering over it and I don't know what the hell that set symbol is. It must be some Stupid little side thing, I don't know. Whatever, I'll take their word for it. Well, Witch's Oven was all drained, so that, yeah, probably they should have banned that. We emphasize that these changes are to a large degree a product of the times. No, it's a product of you idiots. And the current focus on digital play. No, it's you. They would have been problematic in paper too, I assure you. We look forward to hearing community feedback. Really, listen to this video, you f***ing assholes, on this approach, and we'll continue to keep an eye on the metagame going forward. Yeah, you've done such a great job. I totally trust you. Yeah, keep an eye out so that in case anything gets broken, you can ban it a year later. Why don't you refocus on fun, enjoyable gameplay? Not just numbers, not just balance, not just the Mythic League, not just the Pro Tours. Fun, enjoyable, interesting mechanics that can be interacted with and aren't just unstoppable, unfun bulldozers from hell. So moving on to Pioneer, a format I don't know about and don't give a shit about, so I'm going to burn through this. With the last banner restricted list update, we chose to unban Oath of Nissa and Pioneer. This wasn't intended to be a major update to the format or an alternative to other changes, but rather what we viewed as a relatively safe unban in the context of a metagame that was looking healthy by many metrics. So the metagame was healthy, which bullshit it was. They just banned Inverter of Truth. Hello. The game, according to people who play Pioneer, was, quote, unplayable with Inverter legal. But in their terms, it was healthy. So anyway, I disagree with them on banning that. It's like, oh, everything's kind of okay now, which, as I said, was wrong. Let's throw Oath of Nissa back in and see what happens. See if we could break it again. It's one card. Just leave it banned. It's not like there's a line of people just like waiting. Oh, I just can't wait till Oath of Nissa gets unbanned. God, I am just missing something in my life not being able to play with that card. Nothing good can come from the sheer danger level of unbanning a card that merited a ban in the past. It is so irresponsible and stupid, and you're upping the card pool by 0.001%. Wow. What a benefit! The benefit versus the risks? Oh, I can totally see why you would unban a card. You fucking idiots. Especially when the reason it was banned hasn't gone away technically. So much community discussion followed that update. Really? Prompting us to take a look further at the need for change in Pioneer. So they needed to listen to the community because they weren't aware that Inverter of Truth was absolutely dominating the format. What statistics were you looking at, Wizards? Although we continue to see many different decks have success in Pioneer, wrong, they were all Inverter. And no decks with problematic win rates against the field, wrong, Inverter. We do see that combo decks as a group make up a large portion of the competitive metagame. Yeah, and we know mill decks, control decks, and gimmicky glass cannon combo decks are three things that should never have any place in any meta in any format. They're boring, they're not fun to play with, they're not fun to play against, and they're toxic and they suppress deck building creativity. I shouldn't need to tell you this. Nobody likes playing even a best of 3 against some, oh look, infinite combo walking ballista, oh look, game-ending combo Inverter of Truth. Nobody wants to play against that. And it takes a chimp-level intelligence to operate that deck. You either get combo or me not get combo. Ooh, unga bunga, me run Inverter. They're toxic, degenerate shit. Stupid, gimmicky combos are what you tried to push out of Modern a while ago, several years ago, when you suddenly gave a shit about toxic combos that everybody hated. Now you're like, what? The community is still mad because these decks are complete cancer? What? I mean, they don't even understand Magic gameplay or the community or fun at a basic level. Does anybody else find this concerning? If you're wondering why stupid, boneheaded, incomplete, idiotic decisions like these ban decisions keep happening, it's because they have no concept of what the customers want. We've heard feedback, have ya now, that the frequency at which one finds themselves facing an opposing combo deck restricts deck building options. They've finally got their best scientists in their lab coats to discover that that's cause and effect, when I've known that since, I don't know, the third week I played the game maybe, and can make play experiences unenjoyable. Which I'm convinced isn't a word, but yes, you're 100% correct. While win rate data may not point to a change being needed, a different, more important set of data does. Player participation. See, you thought they were going to say player enjoyment or fun. No, they're losing customers. That's what they mean about player participation. So people, when formats get this toxic with shit like Inverter just dominating, they just leave, they don't play it. And if there's nothing else, it's like, remember how Standard was complete shit around Hour of Devastation, so everybody just jumped on Modern? Because Modern, like, every week there was a new deck. It's like, oh, 5-color humans. Oh, now Death Shadow is back. Oh, now this is back. Oh, now this is the thing. And, good. It was moving in a different direction. People are like, finally, it's not this stale bullshit. We're seeing some new stuff. It hasn't become very expensive yet. Cool. And then Ironworks ruined everything or whatever. Whatever that card was. I thought it was a Krenko card. I don't even remember. If all the formats are shit, guess what happens to, quote, player participation? They all leave to go play Domain TCG. Or like me, Skyrim for the 100th time. And I guess they finally made the connection that pissed off players equal lower player participation, and lower player participation equals really, really, really bad reports to Hasbro and the stockholders. Gee, I'm glad they finally made that connection. For Pioneer, which nobody plays or gives a shit about. While the reduction in tabletop tournaments due to the need for social distancing shortly after Pioneer's launch earlier this year is certainly a factor, we've also seen a decline in Pioneer play rates on Magic Online throughout the course of the year. It's clear that many players who have been or could be interested in Pioneer are ready for a change. Ultimately, how much fun players are having with the environment is the most important driving force behind BNR updates. Holy f***ing shit. Two things. One, no it f***ing isn't, evidently. And secondly, did you actually just say that? Did you actually admit that? Holy shit, who did you fire and hire to finally realize that that's true? Because the f***ing 20-year-old veteran dumb f***s who run your company don't seem to even know what the word fun means. So anyway, we're choosing to ban 4 cards to shake things up and push the competitive metagame away from combo decks. They might have as well have just said away from unfun decks and unfun gameplay, which, if this is actually true, hallelujah, holy shit, it's a miracle. You know what? Maybe design cards with that in mind. Because you just said that the ban of restricted announcement updates are with that in mind now. How about you push that to R&D and playtesting, where you're like, is Scarab God a fun card? Is Ugin a fun card to bring back? Is Teferi a fun card? Will anybody have fun playing against this? And then every time Mark Rosewater hands you a card where he's like, this'll be splashy, just slap him in the face. Just wind up as hard as you can. Just slap the stupid right out of his head, please. Nobody's done anything this powerful before. This will be so well received by my ass kisser people on my blog. Oh, you know what'd be so cool? Instead of doubling stuff, let's triple it. That'll be so powerful. People will all play this and they'll all think I'm so cool for designing this. Time for you to move to a different job, Mark. So these bans are primarily aimed at disrupting the Inverter of Truth decks, Underworld Breach decks, Heliod the Sun Crown plus Walking Ballista. They said combo, but let me just correct them. That's a typo. Infinite Combo and Kethis the Hidden Hand combo decks. Oh, see, I told you it was a combo deck. I knew it. While Kethis combo decks are a relatively new re-emergence. Make up your mind. In the metagame, we're seeing signs that these decks are already problematic and would become more so if other top decks were weakened. Well, too bad you didn't realize that about Standard, because it is about to be the Red Rush all Torbrand all day show in Standard. Kethis decks are currently among the top in 5-0 trophy winners in Magic Online Pioneer Leagues, despite being a modest portion of the field. So this is one of the few times where they're like, well, if we're already making a ban list, we're already taking action. Like, what clear as day is about to become a problem, or arguably already is a problem? That is when all of these bans should be happening, okay? As soon as they're like, whoa, this might be a thing, ban it. I mean, you need some discretion, because honestly, in Modern, if they would have seen like, oh, Death Shadow's back, ban it. Oh, 5-color humans, what is this? Ban it. Well, then nothing would ever change. You know what I mean? You can't just knee-jerk reaction to everything. Then again, if you're like, Heliod, Walking Ballista, Infinite Combo. Okay, that's a problem. Nobody wants to play against this shit. It's uncreative, boring, stupid, oppressive garbage. And look, now it's becoming more popular. Okay, now's the time to cut it off before it becomes a thing. Now, any other random deck, let's just say there's some fantasy, mono green creature deck that people are just like, wow, that's good. Honestly, it's Pioneer. Hello, Elves. Steel Leaf Champion, never heard of that. They haven't banned that yet. But yes, this theoretical fantasy deck that totally doesn't exist. If it was just green creatures, trample, a little tiny bit of ramp, you're like, no, it's just a good deck. Cool. I mean, now something new for Pioneer. Why shouldn't Pioneer change? Like, what's wrong with that deck? Unless it's like a turn 4 win, it's just a tier 1 capable, really good deck. You should only address it if it becomes, X amount of a win rate or X amount of the field. Obviously, and then you should just weaken it a little bit. But looking at stuff like, Inverter of Truth or Underworld Breach or Kethis, where it's just combo, infinite combo, ooh, Glass Cannon combo, 1 counter spell and my deck's dead. You should be able to just look at it gaining in popularity and say, we don't want this to happen, and ban it. And if you're thinking, wait, that doesn't make sense, why don't they just not print the card in the first place? If you're going to back it up chronologically to the point where, oh, look, this card taking off, a couple weeks after it was printed, people are putting it in decks. We better do something. Why don't they just not print the card in the first place? Exactly. 100% my point. The problem with every format right now is R&D and playtesting. Now that said, they print cards for standard. They do not print cards in the context of modern or commander or historic or pioneer. Allegedly. At the end of the Eldrazi winter, they went back on their word and just admitted that the exact polar opposite is correct. They absolutely knew what it would do to modern. They absolutely playtested cards before they came out in modern, and they just didn't give a shit. They said, we designed for standard. Standard is our product that we sell. Other formats are secondary, and we manage them with ban lists. Non-rotating formats are curated with ban lists, and here's our credentials for something getting too powerful and blah, blah, blah. Like, it made sense. That's how they do it. But considering some of the cards that have been banned multiple times, like Oko and Teferi, have been problems in multiple formats, including standard, maybe just don't print those cards. And Mark Rosewater likes to say, we're pushing the power level because sometimes you have to experiment. Sometimes you have to push the boundaries to come up with new and interesting things and keep other formats from getting stale and stuff. And from every set looking like, a set from 7 years ago or 5 years ago, we just saw that, this is boring, whatever, which I don't think Magic will ever get that way no matter how boring they make the sets. But that's what he's saying. But see, they're not pushing up the power level, they're pushing up the annoyance level of what people are willing to tolerate in their game. You ever notice every time he's like, we pushed the power level on this one a little bit, it's really just some obnoxious control card? Or like some horrible recursion thing, like the cat oven or some infinite combo, like, oh my god, which one should I even pick? Saheeli cat combo, the Heliod ballista combo, the hostage taker infinite combo with itself? Whoopsies. If you only play digital and didn't catch it, they reworded the card. They changed the Oracle text, not just for clarification, but so that the card works differently. It originally could target itself and cause an infinite flicker combo, and if you had an ETB effect, you would just win the game. They changed the text on the card before it came out. Like, it's a 2-card combo. Do we have to wait for that? No. They finally decided in that one to pull the trigger before the card actually came out. Amazing, I know. I'd say, once again, they should do that more often, except, wait a minute, if it's going to be before the card even comes out, how about just don't design the card that way in the first place, or learn how to playtest the game? I mean, what a concept. So they do say, oh my god, I assure you, I did not read ahead. You will not believe what this paragraph says. We did consider several other cards as alternative bans aimed at these same decks. Thassa's Oracle was one of the cards we discussed as a lighter touch for weakening Inverter and Breach decks. Inverter wouldn't even function at all. However, Inverter decks are still capable of winning with Jace, Wielder of Mysteries. So ban both of them! They both say, hey, asshole, find some degenerate way to either go 40 turns or like nuke your entire deck in one shot and run your entire library out and we'll reward you with a free win. To which, asshole, dickish, inconsiderate player says, awesome, I'm going to do that. Why would you ever want to encourage that type of gameplay? What the went into the design of those two cards? And why can't you, at this point, seeing the devastation that they caused to this format, go back and say, those cards were a mistake. Encouraging people to run their library out completely was a mistake. Let's just get rid of the mistake. So anyway, they say, it isn't clear that a Thassa's Oracle ban would be enough to push Inverter decks out. So ban Jace too. You just said it one sentence up, for f***'s sake. Next, even though Thassa's Oracle has been a win condition of choice for Underworld Breach, really? Boy, I really should look up how that deck works. I've never actually seen it in action. Once the deck's core combo engine is running, it can win in many ways. Some recent versions of the Underworld Breach deck even forego Thassa's Oracle entirely. There you go. The cards we've chosen are the set that gives us the most confidence in creating significant shift in the metagame. We understand that this represents a large change to the Pioneer environment. Good. And frankly, that's the intent. Good. While we're past the phase of frequent weekly updates to Pioneer, bad. I figured I'd throw one in there for balance. We're still in a period where changes are necessary to help shape the format in its initial launch year. Good, I guess. We want to ensure that Pioneer can deliver an enjoyable play experience to players who are looking for an accessible, non-rotating format that's closer to standard and power level. No, it f***ing isn't. It's close to standard in power level, and offers a variety of archetypes and decks to choose from. We're dedicated to actively supporting Pioneer and will continue to incorporate both data and community feedback. I just realized they never added anthology packs to Pioneer, so actually Pioneer might be lower powered than Historic. I would assume it wouldn't be with the sheer number of cards, but I mean, I could be wrong. I don't know. You guys play it. You tell me. It's on MTGO. Of course I don't play the format. So next up, Historic, a format I have been primarily playing, like 90% of the time and 10% is Standard. And a little bit of Brawl. The Historic metagame is moving quickly right now. Yeah, because you keep pouring anthology gasoline on the dumpster fire. The addition of new cards through Jumpstart is having a large impact. Yeah, in a bad way. Historic was supposed to be really close to Standard. As will Amonkhet Remastered, so don't forget about that, by the way, when it arrives soon. There are many of these new decks we are watching closely, but our strong preference in times like this is to give the meta time to develop naturally. I mean, yeah, if you're just going to keep shaking the gasoline container and just keep it going, I guess wait for the fire to at least stabilize before you start picking off the hottest spots. We want to see which of these new decks turn out to show enduring strength versus merely making an initial splash. That said, there are two places where we feel we have enough information that we should take action. So they're really just set that up as, no, these cards are that bad. We do not need to wait and see. It's Wilderness Reclamation, Teferi Time Raveler, in case you forgot. So we touched on Wilderness Reclamation in our last banner restricted list update, saying that while it was powerful, we were only seeing it in problematic decks alongside Nexus of Fate. No, you weren't. It was Explosion. It was Spell Cloning. I saw it in 3-color. I saw it in 4-color. I saw it in 5-color. I saw it in Super Friends. I saw it in Esper Control. It was in everything. You are so full of shit, Wizards. So since then, we've seen a Teamer Reclamation list grow steadily in Historic, even though they told us word for word that it was going down in popularity in Historic in the last announcement, that leverages both Expansion Explosion and Field of the Dead. Yeah, actually, now that they remind me, that is the deck I keep seeing and playing against, which I still actually usually beat with Shrines, which is kind of funny. We are seeing this deck put up significant numbers, representing over 10% of the best of 3 games. Who's playing that? While maintaining concerning win rates. This is a card and deck configuration that we have spent a good bit of time discussing, analyzing, and watching, so we feel that it is one where we have enough information to act. Like, compare that assessment to what's coming out of people's mouths on, like, Reddit. This combo! Wizards, get rid of this stupid fucking card. Wilderness Reclamation was a mistake. I hope you all and have armed chimpanzees from the zoo take over your city in the place of the police department. Like, that would be one of the more polite comments currently floating around social media about Wilderness Reclamation decks. Guys, we think that after this amount of time and analysis, we have enough information about how this card interacts with shut the hell up and ban this absolute ass cancer. For Teferi Time Raveler, we get much the same feedback in Historic that we get in Standard. It's almost like the card is the problem, not the format or the decks or the meta. In Historic, we also find that the power of the reduced capability for interaction that Teferi Time Raveler brings scales with the power of the interaction he's preventing on the board he's consequently protecting. What? Yeah, jamming my off-turn instance is pissing me off. I guess that's where they're going with that. Well, that and flickering him, I honestly think they're referring to both, as I said before. He is also seen very frequently in Historic, appearing in over 20% of Historic Best of 3 games, and significant percentages in other modes as well. For these reasons, we are suspending Teferi Time... Oh, suspending him. Kiss my ass. Oh, guys, they're just going to suspend him. They're not going to ban him. They're going to suspend him until such a time that he would benefit the game to come back. So f***ing never. Then again, they brought Field of the Dead back. How'd that go? Everybody's enjoying that one again, right? Board wipe-proof zombie generators. That's my favorite shit. As with all suspensions, we will be closely monitoring D's nuts. Shut the f*** up. Next up, Brawl. I think this is 2 sentences. No, 3. 3 sentences. And remember, they only banned Teferi Time Raveler. So they're saying Teferi Time Raveler is one of the most played commanders in Brawl, appearing in over 10%. Yeah, way over 10%. Probably over 20%, probably over 30% of games, and he has one of the highest win rates. Yeah, because he costs 3, then 5, then 7 in ramp decks. In addition, we see a similar impact in Brawl to that What? In addition, we see a similar impact in Brawl to that described in other format. That what? That what are the what? That's not even like pronoun confusion. That's like article confusion or like I don't think that was even English. Let me correct this. Teferi was as shit in Brawl as he was in other formats. That's what they should have wrote. For these reasons, he is banned. I mean, I told you it was short. And finally, on announcement, timing, and effective date. In the past, we've given 1 week advance notice for net deckers to ruin everybody's day and play twice as much as they normally would. But this time, we dropped it on you out of nowhere. Because of the increased focus on digital play environments during this period, we're choosing to forego that advance notice. I mean, they're all like, oh, you can maybe sell your cards. No, as soon as they say there's a ban announcement, people know damn well what the card's going to be. The cards tank in value, and giving them a week notice just pisses people off for a week because then they know they got to wait for it. I mean, I guess a week is about how long it takes to ship in a new deck to play with in paper, if you already know yours is about to get nuked. But I think they're failing to acknowledge the sheer level of denial that net deckers are in when it comes to their precious $500 paper decks. I mean, they're always like, maybe they won't ban it. Well, maybe they will, because listen to literally the entire rest of the community, and then they ban it, and they're like, oh, surprise Pikachu phase. How dare they? Oh, I should have bought a new deck a week ago when they gave me a week's notice. So anyway, they say this isn't necessarily indicative of how we'll announce and implement this in the future, and we'll continue to look at how we balance giving players advance notice versus staying agile and with respect to changing metagames. Go as fast as possible. Nobody's going to tell you not to, except for whiny, entitled net deckers that spend too much, money that they can't even afford and don't even have on decks that they have to win with because they're just sad, pathetic people like that. And on Arena, I don't give a shit. I got wild cards. Get this garbage out of my face as quickly as you possibly can so I can maybe have some semblance of okay gameplay. So nowhere in the article do they mention this, but if you scroll all the way to the top, it does state, believe it or not, the announcement date is August 3rd. The effective date is August 3rd. So in theory, right now I could launch Arena and never have to see Teferi in Brawl again. I think I'm going to move back to Brawl. I'm still fed up with Historic. Goblin and Elf decks have to be dealt with or I'm not going to play it. And honestly, Standard, I'm not going to play it until they deal with Torbrand and Embercleave. They could ban the Standard meta all the way back down to like all in turn 4 aura stacks. And still, people will find some degenerate shit from the last couple months to play. It's just, there's so many overpowered decks and overpowered cards, and they kept leapfrogging each other that if you set it back, 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, even way back to like right when Throne of Eldraine came out, there's still going to be some degenerate shit. I mean, just adventure decks. Remember adventure decks with the Lucky Clover and the Bartender? You can't beat those decks, except with even more broken shit that came out later. So we'd still have an unbeatable, repetitive, unfun deck, still because they refuse to power down Standard. If you power it down, you get more variety, more deck options, because you get more viable card interactions that are about the same power level as anything else people can come up with because there's no standout combos or cards. So if they would stop printing such bomb-ass crazy overpowered cards, they would have such like deck creativity and diversity, and it seems counterproductive because, then we can't also sell the cards to Commander Modern players because they're not powerful enough. Well, boo-hoo, Modern Horizons. Like, whatever, Commander Legends, like, as if they don't already have the solution. Or who gives a crap if those formats change? Just keep doing master sets and keep supplying people with like a sufficient supply of moderately priced cards that they can actually afford to play the format. How about focus on that? It doesn't matter how healthy and dynamic the format looks if nobody can afford to play it. In fact, it's the opposite. If you keep moving the bar and you keep making people rebuild different modern decks and also you don't give them the reprints and they're too expensive, nobody's going to afford to play it. So if they were to power down Standard and everything went all peachy, people would build more decks because people like building decks and playing with different things different times. And if they're like, ooh, I'm winning with this deck. Okay, cool. Okay, I won F&M a couple times with it. I've been playing with my friends for a couple weeks with it. I'm going to build another deck. Would you even have that phrase cross your mind right now in Standard? Oh, this deck's doing okay. I'm going to come up with a fresh deck idea and build it. You are going to get your ass kicked. No matter what that deck is, you are going to lose. Nothing, not a damn thing you can come up with will compete with Tier 1 right now. It's so bonkers ass overpowered. So, like, not just deck building creativity is being suppressed, it's gone. It is no longer part of the game, period. You cannot build a deck on your own. You will not win with it. So how many decks are people building per Standard release? 1. Back in the day when Magic was a little bit more balanced, mostly around Origins, it was actually pretty good around Origins. Landfall was pretty dope. I think I built like a different deck every 2 weeks to bring to F&M. So I was buying, 5 times, 10 times more cards. That makes stores make more money. They order more stuff if it's still in print or whatever. It's a little backwards, but it would work. More demand equals more money in Wizards' pocket at the end of the day, trust me. And that's why they keep printing reprints so that people can dig into old stores. Like, there's like an M20 card that's also an M13. If they sell out of the M20 ones, they could sell the M13 ones, and then the stores make money. The stores have more money. They buy more product the next time because they know the demand will be higher and they have more funds available. That's just how it works. So that is why they need to power down Standard. Plus, Standard is really unfriendly to new people right now, either from deck building ideas or from, if a new person joins, basically, I'd tell them right now, if you're not playing one of the top decks, you're not going to win. I guess you'll just have to copy one off the internet. Teaching new players the net deck. What a great thing for the community. Not even teaching, forcing new players, forcing everyone to net deck. I'm barely hanging on in Standard and Historic and Brawl with my highly competitive, rogue decks because I know what I'm doing and I'm really damn good at building decks. Not everybody is. In fact, very few people are, especially new players to the game. New players suck at building decks. So, that among 10 other reasons I won't even go into, they need to power down Standard. It's ridiculous. Hopefully that's their post-rotation plan. We will find out real damn quick with Zendikar Rising. In theory, depending upon when they got a clue about how bad this got, this will be the first set, Zendikar Rising will be the first set that they had time to change and power down. If they wanted to rework it, if they wanted to put in the effort, if they saw the need to do it and recognize how important it was, which that's a lot of ifs. I think that the first powered down set that we'd reasonably see is actually probably like mid-2021, unfortunately. But all of society is going to collapse the day after the election anyway in 2020, so get your guns, buy some food, and hey, thumbs up the video and leave a comment if you want to see a food preservation tips video, because I have a method that's very, very cheap and effective that you can do right now on any budget. And no joke, I'm actually thinking about starting, I guess this would be a 4th channel at this point, about, I can't say the PREPPER word because it's absolutely blacklisted on YouTube now, so I'd have to call it some bullshit like outdoor survival. Camping and outdoor tips with Des. But anyway, if you guys would be into it, it seems like a lot of you because, smart people play Magic and smart people see the writing on the wall and are prepared for disasters because they can predict things before they happen. They don't need to, get a speeding ticket before they stop speeding would be the classic example. They aren't dumb enough that if they don't see it right in front of their face, that it's not there and it doesn't exist. They're actually able to, along with some of the smarter apes like orangutans, predict the future and plan ahead. So yeah, the above average intelligence level of the Magic community, apparently there's a large cross section with disaster preparedness and all that stuff. So I don't know, if you want to see that channel, let me know down in the comment section if you're interested, but especially know if you're not interested because otherwise there's, confirmation bias or whatever. So let me know on that. This game is definitely dying, so I got to jump ship off this channel as quick as possible. Don't forget to subscribe to Desolator Gaming. I do occasionally upload to that, and I will see you guys next video.